think it's fairly straightforward, this division, to be honest.
Yep. So AFC North odds, right? And I was looking at them just before um, we started. Ravens favourites 7-10. Bengals around 2-1. Steelers at 6-1. And I don't think I've ever seen this in a 14 division. But the Browns are they've done well to get here. 30-1. You might as well make it 100-1.
In a four-horse race.
In a four-horse race. You're 30-1. Unbelievable. So shall we start from the bottom?
Okay, I think we're both in agreement that at the bottom we need to start with the Cleveland Browns, who have, I think by the last count, five quarterbacks on their books in
The
June.
saying the saying goes, if you've got two quarterbacks, you've got none. So what does that mean if you've got five?
Now, this is the rosters haven't been cut down to the 53
No.
yet, but to have five quarterbacks, and this is a franchise, they were actually putting out stats on the rookie minicamp or
Yeah, I saw that.
the off season workouts. They were releasing stats on the
Seven
quarter.
on
Like,
seven.
yeah, football in shorts. Like, just, I mean, the Browns don't have a quarterback. They've got five quarterbacks. They might as well. They just don't have a quarterback, especially in this division, who can challenge. And a couple of years ago, the Browns had a really good roster. This roster has degraded over time, and they don't have a receiver outside of really a real receiver outside of Jerry Jeudy. And Jerry Jeudy, if you're relying on Jerry Jeudy to be your number one, then I think you've got problems. Chubb, I know he was hurt all of last year, but I don't understand why they let him go. Like, if it was, I
They
guess,
they drafted Quinshon Judkins, so maybe they felt with Chubb he's not going to get back. But
this is a guy who what does he squat, 500 pounds, or is that Jalen Hurts? But I'm sure he can squat. Yeah, I'm glad that Nick Chubb's out of division. Um, I don't know with the Browns. I just think it's inevitable that the Shedeur Sanders talk is going to appear, and I don't have any confidence in the Browns in how they're going to handle it. Just because the ownership seems to be a bit of a mess. I quite like the head coach, but I think they're just gonna be a poor team this year. And the only way they could be competitive is if it's Joe Flacco in a really simple offense and this rookie running back like hits the ground running. But I just
I
don't.
think we've seen that movie before.
They made the playoffs. I mean, I know they got crushed by the Texans, but they made the playoffs with Joe Flacco. But this
I,
is 2 years on. He's 2 years older.
I think what frustrates me is that after day one of the draft, where they traded back, got a decent package, and they signed what was regarded as the best defensive tackle in the draft in
Mhm.
Mason Graham.
Yep.
I said to you on that Friday, I said, I want the Browns to load up on defense because we know they're not going to be good on offense this year.
Mm.
And I felt like the picks that they had multiple picks in round two,
Yep.
multiple picks in round three. And I'm thinking, okay, so you've got the rookie Mason Graham at D tackle. You've got the monster Miles Garrett on one side. Go and get another guy to complement them on the other side. And I was thinking like Mike Green, who ironically has ended up in Baltimore. But they've gone and got, they've got Gabriel, the quarterback, in round 3, and then they've drafted Shador in what, round 6, round 5.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, what they were thinking. Then they've got the tight end who apparently is highly regarded, but if you watch the channel, you know how much I love David and Njoku.
Mhm.
So I just feel like it was a mixed. I didn't understand the vision for that draft because I felt like there was a real opportunity to say, let's go and get some of these, potential diamonds in the dirt in round 2 and round 3 on defense and be elite somewhere. Don't get me wrong, they're still gonna, Miles Garrett is one of the best pass rushers in the league. And adding the rookie Mason Graham, hopefully he turns out good. Suddenly they've built something there, but they should have stacked, in my opinion. And now I just look at a confused roster.
Yeah, I just if it is ownership, which it does
Smell of.
yeah, it does seem to be ownership with the drafting of Sanders, then why did you take the other quarterback earlier, Dylan,
Exactly.
who's not projected to be anything special? So you just know there's going to be chaos with this team, as there normally is. And yeah, I think the Browns just brighter days could hopefully be ahead if ownership just stays out of the way and lets the head coach just coach. But I fear that Stefanski might be out of town if this goes badly, which is a shame because I think he's quite a good head coach. But it's Cleveland. He'll probably go on to bigger and better things if he does leave Cleveland.
I think for Stefanski, I've never been a fan of his passing game.
Yeah.
But but the way that you worded it, as a head coach, he is actually a good head coach. But it's almost like go and get an OC to, reinvent your passing game, in my opinion. Because he's a running game specialist, a bit like my guy in San Francisco. So he's not at that level in the passing game, is what I think I keep seeing. But they're not, if you're not going to have that, you need talent. And as you said, Jerry Judy grew last year, but if that's your number one, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but I think we should, and I know it's difficult, but I think we should go easy on the Browns. I know the Sanders pick is like, what the hell are you doing? But they're still paying Watson, so they're on the hook for that. And hopefully, better days will be ahead for them. They just have to get through. They just have to take their medicine now, and they should come out of the other side. And hopefully, for their fans' sake, just never make that kind of disastrous decision again. So when Watson clears their books, then the Browns can start again.
Yeah.
It's a shame because like that roster a couple of years ago was stacked. Yeah, but it's the Browns, and they needed to do a lot to catch up with the rest of the teams in this division, and I don't believe that they've done enough.
I agree. So who have you got? Who have you got finishing third in this division?
So I was between the two, and I think you're going to guess the two that I was between to finish third.
Yeah.
But I do have the Cincinnati Bengals finishing third
Ooh.
because this game is played in two phases, well, three phases, but two main phases, offense and defense. And we saw this last year with Cincinnati. They tried to be successful with one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They've now lost that defensive coordinator, who I didn't think it was his fault. They've lost Jermaine Pratt, who was like a veteran leader on that defense. They've potentially lost the production of Trey Hendrickson. And even if they do figure it out and pay him. Do you think he's going to play for this team with like the same effort once he does get paid, which is going to be probably his final kind of big contract in the NFL? I mean, he's 31, I believe. So
He's going to get off to a slow start because he's not there, is he? Or it's the same cycle as last year.
yeah, and this is the franchise. Like you hear Jamar Chase being interviewed saying, "Well, maybe we should play in the preseason." Like, what kind of NFL franchise talks about players? Did you ever hear like back in the day, like the Patriots talking about their strategy in the off season to reporters? But this is the Bengals, and like they've pissed off all of their best players. So is Jamar Chase going to sulk this year? Is Higgins going to sulk now that he's got paid? You know, because they're just pissed off that they can't they can't achieve what is possible with the superstar talent that they have. The Bengals, they should be challenging the Ravens every single year, and it should be toe to toe with the Ravens, and they should be right up there with the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC. And it's just not been lately, and they just haven't done anything to fix the defense. And what they have tried to do with the draft pick, he's now holding out. So he's off to a great start. I just don't see it with the Bengals. And Joe Burrow nearly could have been argued to be an MVP last year, and they didn't make the playoffs. So what if Joe Burrow has a 85% season? They need Joe Burrow to be 100%, and Jamar Chase. That's just a given for them to even be close to challenging the Ravens. And I believe my number two team has improved more than the Bengals have. So I have the Bengals in third place at 9-8.
Interesting. And I think all your points are valid because let's just say that Burrow's at 100%. Let's say that they continue the offense that ended last season. All they're asking is for their defense to be average. Like, if they're average and the offense is at that level, they're a Super Bowl contender. But the fact that their defense is that bad that it can't close the gap from how great the offense is tells you how bad that defense was. And you're talking about Trey Hendrickson, who I think led the league in sacks, and the Bengals ended up as a team bottom 5 in sacks.
Yeah.
So how is that? That tells you there's big trouble on that side of the ball. And they've really screwed this situation up, not only with Hendrickson, but now with their rookie, Shamar Stewart. You have those two guys. I know there's a lot being said about Stewart having 1.5 sacks, but if you have those two guys and you don't, I think there's a big difference.
Huge. And you can't just go through the Bengals defense just by position, just by the names. I know it's not, the Broncos have a good defense now, and it's not necessarily stacked like superstar names.
Yeah.
But the Bengals don't have either. They don't have the scheme, and they don't have the talent on defense. So they're going to struggle on defense again. That can be guaranteed. And yeah, Joe Burrow needs to be an MVP to get this team to the playoffs. And I feel bad for Burrow because all the other top tier quarterbacks don't need to play well, except possibly for Josh Allen. They don't need to play at the absolute maximum for their team to reach the playoffs at least.
I mean, so in the doom and gloom, let's give them a bit of balance with the positives. So they did re-sign Jamar Chase, they did re-sign T. Higgins, and they did re-sign someone that I thought was very reliable for them in Mike Gesicki, the tight end. He had some big games last year where the opposition has taken away Chase. They're trying to take away Higgins. You've got the third receiver. I can't pronounce his name. but he, as a rookie, he came in and made, what you'd want him to make, those critical third down plays. But Gesicki was a big safety net for them, and he can make big plays. So offensively, they've had a better off season. It's
But
just that
they didn't get any better. That's
they
what
didn't get any better.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Burrow played at almost top gear, and they didn't make the playoffs. And their defense, I think, got a little bit worse. And what you're giving them credit for, and fair enough, is re-signing their own. Well, we've seen that a movie before. So how are they going to be better? Because Burrow was at maximum last year and they still didn't make it. That's my thinking with the Bengals. That's why I have them 9-8.
Okay. I think they've got to solve this problem with Shamar Stewart and Hendrickson if they want to stand any chance. So that means that in second, I don't know why I'm saying it surprisingly, because this team has made the playoffs 4 out of 5 years. But at second, I'm assuming that means you have your Pittsburgh Steelers.
You assume right. I have the Steelers, and go and guess the record I have for the Steelers. I know you're going to.
I'm gonna say 10-7.
You assume right again. So when I just take a step back and I try to look at this team's off season, like overall, like without any bias, I just came across two main issues that I think that they have at least gone some way to improving. I think that they've improved the quarterback situation.
Yep.
And I think they've improved the overall toughness on the team, especially with the drafting of Derek Harmon right there in the middle. And I just that's how this team got eliminated last year towards the end, was quarterback play. And in that playoff game against the Ravens,
Couldn't stop King Henry.
299 rushing yards is never going to get it done, which includes a couple of kneel downs. So we'll give them the 300s. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think the Steelers have improved slightly. And Aaron Rodgers, I mean, let's not. The guy's a bit of a fool, right, when he comes to talk in front of a camera. But if we take all of that out, if we just think of him as a football player, not as a COVID expert or a mind wellness expert, let's just look at the quarterback play, right? He tore his Achilles and he came back, and it was bad at the start of last year, but it got a bit better. And it is better than what they, as in the Steelers, had in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I think there is still a player in there somewhere. I hope that he doesn't get too carried away with all his life outside of football. I hope, as a fan, that he actually just dials into the football. That would be great. And I just think that those... Oh, and also the running back. So we've got a running back now who, according to everything that I've seen, he seems to fit the scheme that the Steelers run with Arthur Smith in the wide zone running scheme. He's played that and was highly productive. So I'm excited to see this running back. And I'm excited to see the rookie, who apparently is taking like first team reps already, Derek Harmon on the D line. And I'm excited to see Aaron Rodgers. I'm just going to not ever tune into the Pat McAfee show. If I can block it somehow, I'll try and figure it out. But I just think the Steelers they'll always be kind of the Steelers, they'll always be there. And I just think they've improved slightly. Not enough to catch my number one, my division winner, but I have them at 10-7. And I don't know if that's enough. I haven't got around to all four divisions. Don't know if that's enough to make the playoffs, but That's my logic and thinking in making the Steelers the second place team in the AFC North.
Mm. Well, I mean, as you know, Aaron Rodgers, I repeat, used to be my favorite quarterback. And, his peak, I'll put up against anyone in the history of the game. I stand by that. But having said that, I think it comes down to, and I think you're right. I think there is still a quarterback in there, but I think I've said this over the last year. The mindset of Rodgers, he wants to, and I don't know if this was just because he was at the Jets, where bad protection, yada yada yada. I think there's more to it though. He became a bit of a check down Charlie,
Yeah.
and you know he's got this insane touchdown to interception ratio. It's crazy. I don't know I think it's like, was it 400 to 130, which is ridiculous. But if he's protecting that, that's showing up in the play. Now, towards the end of the season, he let it loose a bit,
Yeah.
and suddenly Devontae Adams is having 200-yard games. So he can still throw it downfield, but as I've been saying for the last year, I want you to do that. Like you've proven that you can still play. But if your mindset is, I don't want to make a mistake, you're already retired.
Yeah.
And when I look at the offense, I just think that the Steelers are one wide receiver two away. I will stress it. I still think the Steelers need that number two, that legit number
They,
two.
I am. You can take a note of the time and the date. Paul's guarantees that the Steelers will have they will have signed another receiver by week one, guaranteed. And it's going to be one of these, Gabe Davis, Keenan Allen, a trade with the Packers. I would prefer this. I prefer a trade with like the Packers, kind
One
of
of those, yeah.
Romeo Dobbs or one of those guys on the Packers. But ideally not Alan Lazard. But yeah, there'll be another receiver in town for sure.
Because I just think that if you get that number two, like it doesn't have to, we're not talking about it being T. Higgins, but just
Yeah.
someone that is productive enough for teams not to be able to say, we're going to clamp DK Metcalf.
Mm.
And, right now you've got the rookie. I guess this will be his proper rookie season, Roman Wilson.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he was hurt. He was banged up all of last year. Didn't take the field.
right. You've got who's the other? So I know you signed Robert Woods, which is interesting, but he's gonna be that guy that just comes in situationally. A bit like Tim Patrick for the Lions. You're gonna see him on like 4 plays, and it's gonna be like, wow, Robert Woods for 24 yards, and then that's it. You won't see him again in the game, but he'll play his role.
Decent, by the way. When I
Yeah,
was looking through Jared Goff plays, Tim Patrick makes some incredible catches,
player
but,
prop.
but he's not consistent. Yeah, longest like it's maybe a way into the betting, like longest catch, Tim Patrick longest catch. Like, it's only going to catch maybe max 2 balls in the game, but it's going to be over 25 yards. Yeah. Yeah. Another thing about the Steelers is the play of the two young tackles protecting
Wow.
old man Rodgers. Broderick Jones is back to left tackle where he was drafted to play. Dan Moore has been paid a ridiculous contract by the Titans. Yes, I did call it ridiculous. It's
Fair
way too
enough.
much money, but he's fortunate enough to be a left tackle and they get paid ridiculous amounts these days. So Broderick Jones needs to show that he can be a first round draft pick. And Troy Fautanu on the other side was banged up all of last year as well. So we've got, they're 2 first round picks. So I'm hopeful, but I haven't seen it yet. So I think, so that's not only with your two tackles, that's not only protecting your quarterback, that's helping with the run game in this wide zone scheme. So yeah, I think the tackles are probably tackles could be the two most important players on this Steelers franchise this year.
as well as solving the contract dispute on the other side of the trenches.
That'll get done. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that will get done. That's just we're not. Uh, Sorry, Bengals fans, we're not the Bengals. This will get done. Like it would. It's just a matter of time. Um, they've they seem to have a. They're being penalised for their own stubbornness. They don't negotiate contracts like a year out, or sorry, 2 years out. They always do it going into the final year, and because of that, TJ, they haven't got ahead of it. And now Crosby's being paid, and now Garrett's being paid, and Parsons someday, well, he's got to be paid sometime before March, or else he's out of there. So it's got more expensive, but TJ Watt will get re-signed. It's just
and worth every penny.
yeah,
I get it. I get the other perspective, that the age factor, but I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing any drop off in his film. Like, he is still the game breaker that we know him to be. So pay him, and at the end of the day, if he falls off in 2 years, what, we're going to be sitting here saying you shouldn't have paid him? No, of course you should pay him. This is your best player. This is basically the Steelers franchise as a player. So I want to see TJ stay a Steeler.
yeah,
And if he's not, then San Francisco pick up the phone.
yeah. Well, the phone will be ringing off the hook if they do even consider trading TJ Watt, but it's going to be 40 million. It's
a big number. It is.
Yeah, it's just a fact. But they're paying Rodgers. Was it 12?
13? Yeah.
I'm happy with that. Like,
yeah,
gotta be happy with that.
Because the Steelers now have, I think it was 30 million in cap space. That if they don't use that, that carries into next year. So no matter what happens with Rodgers, the contract is not gonna have any impact on the future, which is perfect. Because if Rodgers walks away after a year, fine. You've got that rollover. If you want to use that to front load TJ Watt's contract, even better. You're still going to have a good situation moving forward with the cap and this team, for the future. So I think that the Steelers are moving in the right direction, despite a very unorthodox, un-Steeler-like off season.
Mm.
But when you look at it, like I said, offensively, you get that number 2 that can be enough of a problem, and this team is better than last year.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. They have, at least on paper, improved, but it will be the 2 first-round picks at tackle and the play of Rodgers at quarterback. Can they catch the Ravens and the rest of the AFC? I think that's a bit of a jump, but I think they'll do enough to be 10-7. I have the Steelers in second.
So let's move on to the division winners then. The Baltimore Ravens, probably you'd have to say the best regular season team over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
I mean, look at their record against the NFC. It's like embarrassing. What, they've lost 2 games? They lost to the Eagles and they threw a game away against the Giants, and that's it.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, I know that there was some issues surrounding Mike Green, or I don't want to say issues, I want to say accusations that the Ravens, they're going to do their homework. But this guy looks like that sort of spark, kind of that sizzle that they've been missing on their D line. They've had a very good D line, right? Like a lot of big guys, but they didn't have that speedster. And if he hits, that's a massive deal for them.
Yeah, they also added the safety, Starks, who's the best projected. I know I love the kid from my man from South Carolina, Nick Emanwari, but Starks was the top ranked safety in the draft. And
To
you add,
pair with Carl Hamilton.
yeah, well, then your Kyle Hamilton kind of can freelance a little bit, can go wherever. And yeah, Kyle Hamilton is a problem. He's a real, real problem. And the thing with the Ravens is that they kept everybody together for the most part. Well, everybody who's kind of mission critical is coming back. And number one on the list, Ronnie Stanley at left tackle is coming back. So the offensive line's going to be damn good again. The running game, provided King Henry is not aging, which he doesn't seem to be.
And they paid him. So they've extended him.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And
there's got to be belief that, you know, they're all in with Henry now. Like they think they probably went into it thinking, well, yeah, 2-year deal. We'll see how it goes. I think that he's exceeded all expectations with that contract extension.
And you'd think that he would continue to be productive because it is this offensive line, it's this running scheme, it's Lamar Jackson, it's the dual threat with Lamar Jackson, and it's also Derrick Henry. If you look at his off-season workouts, he's just seems to be an absolute freak in how he maintains his body, gets himself prepared and ready for the season. Even during the season, his recovery. So, yeah, that's the Ravens have just kept things together. And there was one issue though that I saw with the Ravens is their schedule to start the season is brutal, and they go week one Sunday night football at Buffalo. Then they come. I think they come home for the Browns. Okay, we'll give them the win against the Browns at home. Although they have dropped to the Browns before. Like AFC North is a weird division. We do swap games within division, but you'd like they beat the Browns. A couple of weeks later, they go to Kansas City. They've got the Rams in there in the first 6 weeks, and I think they've got another like stacked team in their first few weeks. But just because of that, I have the Ravens going 11-6 because I think they're going to drop 2 or 3 in the first few. Halfway through last year, the Ravens had, I think, the worst ranked defense in the NFL. At the end of last year, they had the number 1 ranked defense. If you just go from, I think it's that point in time onwards. So they sorted out their defense. And yeah, this is still Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Ronnie Stanley at left tackle with DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah,
we'll see how much my man's got left because it was I can't really defend him in the Super Bowl. That play where he dropped the ball with acres of space in front of him, that was early in the game, and you just never know when a game-changing play like that happens, what could have happened. I know that it probably would have been the same result, but I'm just saying it is the Chiefs. You never know. Like, he would have gone for 50 yards there.
I think it's a good situation for him to go to because of the running game, like he's going to have some wide open throws, and he's not going to be asked to be
a volume receiver. Yeah,
they've got receivers. They've got Zay Flowers is a very good receiver now, and Bateman always seems to come up. He's another for your like longest catch player prop. He comes up with some big plays. Still got Mark Andrews. I know he dropped a couple of balls. Was it against the Bills? Yeah. They should
look at who's at tight end number 2. I've been saying it for a long time in Isaiah Likely. Like he
Yeah.
is very, very good as well. So they've got an abundance of weapons. I just think like they didn't execute in Buffalo. They
No,
made too many mistakes. You did, you went into the game expecting them to win that game, and they dropped the ball. Like that's what they've got to get over. They've got to like in the regular season they dominate, right? Like they completely execute. So they've got to bring that into those really big games. I think that's where they've fallen just short the last couple of years. Even in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs, it was there to be had, and they couldn't get it done. So that's the challenge for them. They're right there. They really are right there. But
yeah, that will be the question until it's answered with this team.
mm,
Is just in the playoffs. You've got all these awards, you've got all these stats, you've got these MVPs, got these rushing titles, you got these like highlight plays, you got all these stiff arms, you got all these crazy, crazy plays that you make, but just when it counts in the playoffs, like you've got to get over the hump and win a Super Bowl. But I think they'll win this division again. And yeah, the thing with the Ravens for me is just they've kept everybody together. So they're going to
yeah,
be like, and I know it's a bit chalky, a bit standard, but give me the Ravens to win the AFC North. Only at 11-6 because the schedule to start is brutal.
I can't disagree. I think that we're gonna go through every division, and there's gonna be more debate, but this one does feel clear cut. This one feels like the Bengals have got too many issues to overcome, and even if they overcome them at this point, the Bengals can't get off to a slow start. Not again. I mean, they are
Yeah.
like 1-9 over the last 5 years through the first 2 weeks of the season. They have to get over that. Otherwise, it's going to be the same again. Can they sneak in? They've got to hit the ground running. It's hard to see it. It's hard to see it on defense.
So the Baltimore Ravens have a bye in week 7. So heading into that bye in week 7, they're at Buffalo, home for the Browns, home for the Lions, at the Chiefs, home for the Texans, and home for the Rams.
Wow.
Then they go into their bye, and then it softens up the schedule. Then you've got the Bears, the Dolphins, the Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers. Why do they always do this? All the division schedule is always right at the end. Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. So you can see it lightens up. But to start with, coming straight out Sunday night football in Buffalo. Nice
Back
little,
to the scene of the crime.
yeah, nice little come home game, home for the Browns, then Lions, Chiefs, Texans, Rams.
Their
That,
NFC record will be put to the test.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So Lions and Rams to start with. So they play the NFC North. So yeah, their his NFC record is going to be put in question. They go to the Vikings. We don't know about JJ McCarthy, but still a stacked roster. They go to Minnesota. Like, yeah, that's the reason I have the Ravens at 11-6. But
Still good enough to win the AFC North.
that's what happens when you're a good team. You know, you get a first place schedule. That's what they got.
Yep.